This time last year, the world was a different place. The Wuhan virus had just emerged. Every country was bracing for a lockdown. There were fears that the virus would turn into a pandemic, that it would cause an economic recession, the likes of which we'd never seen. The fears turned out to be true. The virus went global. It shut the entire world, claimed millions of lives, infected millions more, and destroyed the global economy. The Wuhan virus was the greatest economic blow since the Great Depression. Recession hit all 5 continents. 26% of the world's businesses shut down at one point or the other. 400 million jobs were lost. Out of this, 89 million were lost in South Asia alone. There were insolvencies and closures. Global FDI collapsed. It fell by 42%. There are still many uncertainties, but the outlook is getting brighter. In 2021, the world is looking to build back, learn from the mistakes of the past, and not let history in China repeat itself. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Upadhyay. The global economy is set to recover in 2021. The World Bank says it will expand by 4%. Morgan Stanley projects a global GDP growth of 6.4%. 5.4% is the IMF's projection. The figures are impressive. The US GDP is forecast to expand 3.5%, the European Union 4.2%, Japan's forecast is 4%, and for India, the IMF has upgraded the GDP growth outlook to 11.5%, 11.5. The IMF says India is rebounding to achieve the target of a $5 trillion economy. It sounds amazing, but here's the thing. If we want these amazing figures to turn into reality, we'll have to adapt to the changing economic order. Yes, there are opportunities for radical reform, but they mean nothing if we do not realign our priorities. We'll have to keep a close eye on the emerging trends and at the same time work to diversify our supply chains from China. I'm going to tell you about 5 trends that India must watch out for. 5 trends that can help India achieve its target. The first trend is attracting companies leaving China. Look at what Japan is doing. More than 40% of Japan's companies are looking to shift their base from China. Why? 2 simple reasons. 1, to protect sensitive technology linked to security. And 2, diversify the supply chain. The companies that are shifting base include Canon, Toyota, KDDI, NEC, Kobe Steel, and Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. They're looking to invest in new territories, and India can rise to the occasion and replace China as their new market. It has the potential and the land to do so. Trend number 2, diversifying the economy. Look at West Asia. The pandemic has served a major blow to the region's oil sector. The dependence on oil is set to further fade away in the post-pandemic world. So a growing number of Arab countries are investing in tourism, transportation, retail, and real estate. Saudi Arabia has laid out a long-term economic plan, Vision 2030. A total of 13 projects have been launched under this initiative. The project that stands out is NEOM, a planned smart city that will function solely on wind and solar power. The Saudis say that robots will look after security, logistics, home delivery, even caregiving. NEOM is attracting overwhelming interest from international investors. It is being said that by the time this city is complete, FDI into Saudi Arabia will have increased to 5.7% of the total GDP. Right next door, the UAE too is making headway with efforts to diversify its oil-driven economy. It has entered space exploration. That's right. In July 2020, the Emiratis launched the Hope Orbiter to study signs of life on Mars. The orbiter will land in February this year. It is set to boost development and investments in the UAE's scientific research and academic sectors. Now, with its growing closeness with the Arab world, India must make the most of this economic diversification in West Asia. Trend number 3, Made in America. It may sound familiar. It kind of is. Let me explain. The trade war with China, along with the pandemic, has led to thousands of Americans losing their jobs, tens of thousands. So this is what the new president has done. Joe Biden, the man who got third time lucky, has signed an executive order promoting a Buy American agenda. What's that? It's a 2-pronged strategy to bolster American manufacturing. So on one hand, it will direct agencies to strengthen rules around purchasing American products. On the other hand, it will close all loopholes that allow companies to offshore production and jobs. In other words, Biden wants American taxpayers' money to be spent on American goods made by American workers and with American-made parts. This Made in America plan is set to revitalize the manufacturing sector, which accounts for 12% of the American economy. As America strengthens its domestic market and looks inwards once again, India must ensure that trade ties with the US do not get upended. Then we come to South America. The race for lithium is picking up here, which brings us to trend number 4. Lithium is the new oil. It is an element that has become the driver of technology. It's a juice that powers your smartphone, your tablets, your laptops, digital cameras, but the most important use is in rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles. As this new decade moves forward, most fossil fuel reserves will diminish, and so will the demand. The solution will become largely battery dependent. And for that, you need lithium. The most recent estimates say the demand for lithium will hit 1.3 million tons in this decade. 3 countries have 50% of the world's lithium reserves: Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia. 1/3 of the reserves are in Bolivia, that's close to 21 million tons. The second largest reserves are in Argentina, that's 17 million tons. And Chile comes third with 9 million tons. Together, these companies form what is called the lithium triangle. Now, they have the potential to create a body similar to the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, the OPEC, and to reap a bounty. The world's leading economies are in the race to procure lithium supplies, and this includes India. India is working to secure a giant stockpile of lithium. A new company has been set up. It was set up in 2019, Khanij Bidesh India Limited. It was incorporated by 3 state-owned companies, NALCO, Hindustan Copper, and Mineral Exploration Limited. Now, Khanij Bidesh India has inked a pact with a firm in Argentina, and together they will hunt for reserves, acquire strategic mineral assets, get the raw materials back home, and use them to make rechargeable batteries at home. Which brings us to trend number 5, preparing for the future. Under the Make in India program, the production of e-vehicles is expected to increase the share of manufacturing in India's GDP to 25% by 2022. On the economic front, it's projected to help save $60 billion. This is on oil imports by 2030, $60 billion. And lastly, it will reduce vehicular emissions, a key contributor to air pollution, which causes 3% GDP loss for India every year. India is working towards becoming the world's largest EV market. It is also trying to leverage its online market. A recent report from the United Nations says that India's foreign direct investment grew 13% in FY20. 13%. Much of it had to do with the investment in the digital sector, in the field of e-commerce. In 2020, the Wuhan virus pandemic pushed many consumers and companies online, and the shift in consumer behavior was more evident in India, which is the world's second biggest online market, a market that is expected to grow to $200 billion by 2026. But coming back to FDI, India was also among the only 2 major countries that saw an increase in FDI despite the pandemic. The second one, of course, was China. At least $57 billion poured into India in 2020, and this number is likely to increase in FY21 as more companies move out of China. A United Nations report points at an interesting trend. It says FDI inflows to America and Europe dropped into negative territory, but in South Asia, FDI rose 10% to $65 billion. And this growth again was steered by India. So the bottom line is this: the Indian economy is seeing better than expected growth. Leading indicators point towards a V-shaped recovery. On Monday, the Government of India will unveil its union budget for 2021. Factors that impact the common man should certainly be on top of the agenda. But as New Delhi prepares for the 1st of February, it will also be looking very closely at the global trends that will secure India's place in the future.
Gravitas Plus, co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.